Okay, and we are live. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Speak Up Africa, where we aim to inform, engage, and empower the youth. My name is Salome from Speak Up, and I am really excited to welcome our panelist for the day, Miss Winnie, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and she'll be giving us her insights on the topic of youth and democracy. So, I'll give her a moment to introduce herself, and then we will dive into the topic.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jitokezee. I am an advocate of the High Court. I practice in Nairobi and in Embu. I run a law firm by the name Winingigi and Associate Advocates. And I specialize in digital rights, matters to do with democracy, constitutional issues, public interest matters, and also children's rights. I am excited to be here today. Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think we can just dive into it. So today we'll be talking about youth and democracy, and we'll be looking not just the legal aspects, but the practical aspects, and we hope to delve more into how we can encourage the youth to actually be more active in democratic processes and solutions and recommendations that we can give to all bodies that are capable of influencing their participation. So without further ado, I think I can start with my first question. So Winnie, given that you're an advocate, I'd like you to briefly give us a recap of the legal framework surrounding the participation of youth in democracy. How do the Kenyan laws actually promote youth and democracy?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I think we have quite a number of laws that provide for the youth. And I'll start off with the Constitution of Kenya. And this is because it expressly provides for the youth. And if you look at the Constitution, you'll realize that it acknowledges that the youth are vulnerable people in the country. And this is because most of them have not are yet to be economically empowered. And when you're not economically empowered, you mostly don't have a voice in most cases. So the Constitution does actualize and realize that the youth are vulnerable and there is need to create for opportunities for them. It also goes ahead to provide for the participation of the youth in elections and also in political seats. And it also goes on to provide for that the youth should be able to participate in political forums and in elections and all that. We can also have a look at the youth policy, the national youth policy. And the national youth policy is quite comprehensive in what constitutes, in how the youth can participate or how they can be of use in the country. And it provides, it actually goes to provide even situations or scenarios where the youth can actually participate. And it does mention that they should be involved in businesses, they should be involved in elections. We should be able to create opportunities for the youth to so that even the economy is able to grow. We also have other acts like the Education Act. It provides that we should ensure that there is education for our young people, because we all know that education does play a vital role in ensuring that we are able and we are prepared for our roles in society in the future. And I think especially it prepares us for jobs, and it also creates those opportunities for us. Like mostly how we were told that education is the future and the whatnot. We also have other policies and also the Children's Act, because by the time you're from 18, youth basically means someone who is from 18 onward to 35. And so basically, and the Children Act does provide for people who are 18. And you see, it's just the hallmark of jumping to the other side, and all those rights are provided to ensure that you grown up in a background where you are able to realize your full opportunities as a young person. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that legal insight. Now, because you mentioned the national youth policy that we have in Kenya, and you also touched on how it emphasizes on the role of the youth and how it promotes the youth basically. But does it in any way, push for youth representation in government bodies?
Yes, the youth, it does push for the representation of the youth in government bodies, but in as much it may not come out direct, it may not come out very clearly, but it does create for opportunities for the youth to be involved in some of these things. For example, that when it says that they should be involved in initiatives. So, which are these initiatives? There are so many initiatives, and some of these initiatives are government initiatives, um, and they could be. We could say that they could be election initiatives. They might not be exactly direct, but they can be implied. We can derive them from how they've been implied in the policy. Yes.
Okay. So now my next question again is on representation, and given that the Kenyan Parliament gives allocates two roles to youth representatives to represent the youth in Parliament, do you think this particular provision is really helpful when it comes to promoting youth and democracy, or is there more that can be done given even our history and our background as a country?
Well, the mere fact that the provision is there is, I would say, it's a plus. This is because what it does is that it creates room to expand it creates room to expand it and create more opportunities. It's just mentioned, but that means that we need to take an initiative and create more opportunities, uh, and create more opportunities within. So what it does is that it creates a platform for us to be able to expand it, for us to be able to expand and provide these opportunities by by anchoring them onto this provision. So that means that if the youth are not being given an opportunity, then they can move courts, they can move the government, they can hold the government accountable on the basis that it is specifically provided for in the constitution. They can raise questions. They can ask why this is not being provided for, why opportunities are not being provided for, yet it is provided for in the constitution. So it is helpful, yes, but there is room to provide for more opportunities and to create more avenues for the youth to be able to be involved in government and political matters.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I also believe that there's room for more opportunities for the youth, especially when it comes to representation in government bodies, and I believe more can be done. But and also given the fact that we barely see much from I personally barely see much from youth representatives. So I think they also need to step up a bit, inspire more youth to take part in democratic processes, run for public offices, and all that. So now I want to talk about youth participation because normally everybody, I think the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about democracy is the voting. Yeah. So are there any other ways that in which the youth can actively participate in democratic processes apart from voting? Because it's a bit of a challenge understanding our role
Yeah.
in government. Yeah. So is there more that can be done by the youth?
Yes, there is definitely more that can be done by the youth. And you see, like the national policy does acknowledge that the youth do form like the biggest percentage of the population in Kenya. So and we are the ones who actually run the economy of the. We are mostly the ones who are in a position to run the economy of the country. This is because number one, we have time. We have the advantage of time. We have the advantage of health and wealth. We are our bodies are still active and whatnot, and so sorry, and so what that
Winnie,
means. Yes, yes.
I'm sorry for cutting you short, but we lost you there for a minute, and we left off at where you said that the youth are the majority. Do you mind
Oh,
continuing from that point? Yeah,
sorry about that.
okay.
Yes. So as I was saying, so the youth form a bigger percentage of the population in Kenya, and what this means is that we do contribute a lot to the economy of the country, and so that means our voices are they're supposed to be they're supposed to uh, they're supposed to be we're supposed the youth are supposed to be listened, because basically they are the ones who are indirectly or directly running the economy of the country. And this is because one, the youth they have a lot of advantages. They have the advantage of time. Secondly, they have the health, yeah, because they are still young and vibrant and are able to take up more duties and take up more activities that are able to help the government or help the country run smoothly. And so what this means is that the youth should be involved in there are many other things that the youth can be involved in ensuring that there's a democratic process other than voting. For example, one, they can participate in the elections themselves, not just by voting, but also by by standing up for those election positions. We have some youth positions, and like the women representatives. Some of these positions, they don't necessarily mean that you have to be within the age, that you have to be like beyond some of these years. So long as, for example, you are a woman, and maybe you're at your 30s, or like uh, we have we have the government leader from Turkana, a lady, and she's quite young. That she has taken up a government position. That is an example. Another example that where the youth can be involved is in business. You see, because when some of these leaders are vying for these elections, they need money to run the campaigns. And if you have been able to establish yourself as a young person in business, and you are making profit, that means that you can be able to find probably a campaign leader who is of your choice, who you think will actually drive the, who will actually drive what the youth are supposed to do, or who is going to ensure that the youth are properly provided for in parliament and in the constitution. Also, by even by terms of where you're employed, you are a voice. You can talk, you can speak up, just also participating in some of these government forums. Like, for example, I see that when maybe we are called upon to participate in some of the issues that are affecting us as a country, we don't know where to go, and we also don't go. Even if we know where it is happening, we don't go. We have a couple of forums that have been held at the KICC, and very few young people know about them, and so they basically don't show up, and then the opportunities just go, or sometimes these opportunities are not widely advocated for. Yet, if we take up this mandate and ensure that if you as a young person become aware of an opportunity where other young members can benefit, ensure that you make them aware of them, so that it now becomes just more than voting. It becomes also creating awareness, taking up roles. Some yeah. Yes. Am I
Okay, okay.
okay?
Um, Yeah, you froze for a second there,
Oh,
but we didn't lose
sorry.
you, just your visual.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's okay. These things happen. So now, as we talk about, encouraging the youth to participate in democracy and being more active, now we must note that it's not as easy as it sounds because,
Yeah.
we have to experience challenges. I personally sometimes think that we are limited in knowledge of how we need to participate. I also feel like sometimes we need somebody to hold our hands and show us. For instance, you cannot just wake up and decide I want to run for a public office. You need funds. You need support. You need somebody who's been in politics long enough to mentor you. So I think that is what I think can be some challenges. So what do you think are the challenges, that the youth face when it comes to participating in democracy?
Yes, like you have just mentioned quite a good number of them. Because some of these government positions, for you to participate or for you to even run for an electoral position, you need money. You need money to campaign. You need money to pay for those positions, for the entrance fee and the whatnot. It really does require quite a huge amount of money. And the thing is, most of us young people don't have the funds. You're just from school, you've just started to hustle, so you really don't have the funds. So that is one of the issues. Secondly, we barely have mentors. And it would really be important that most young people who are vying for these positions or who would want to be involved in government issues or political matters, that they have mentors, because this is a person who holds your hands and who directs you and who tells you, no, if you take that route, you are going to burn. If you take this route, you're going to thrive. So we do need mentors. I do agree that we do need mentors. We also do need networks, yes, because you need to be in a place where you are being made aware of these positions. So if you're not well networked, you may not be aware of these positions. You know, you may not, you need to be in a place where people can mention your name. They can say, I know Salome, I know whoever, and I know them that they can do this and they can do it quite well. So we need to network amongst ourselves, because the thing with life also is that there are some of us who are really doing well, and some of us are in the middle, and some of us are still struggling to familiarize ourselves with the process and whatever. So we need to network between those three categories, such that the one who is up here will help the one who is down here. And it doesn't mean that the one who is down here does not know anything. There are other things that they are aware of that the person who is up on the ladder does not know. So we need to create network opportunities. I think we also need to pressure our leaders to lower the taxes, because I think tax issue is a huge issue, because when you have just started your business as a young person, it's struggling, and then taxes have been added. It automatically means that the government is not creating an opportunity for you as a young person to be able to grow. Because how are you going to and you see, when the youthful age is where you're starting a family, so how are you going to provide for your kids or for your family, and your business is struggling, taxes have so we also need to look at we need to put pressure into our current leaders, especially our young leaders, to make sure that they look into the issue of taxes and how it is affecting the young person, because it's really a huge issue currently. And we also need to ensure that we make things affordable for the youth, because if because if food is expensive, then we are not going to be able to afford basic necessities. And so when you're not able to even provide for basic necessities, it is hard to participate in these other uh, things. It is very hard for you to go and run a campaign, yet your family is hungry back home. You'll be thinking of how to find uh, money for the basic necessities. Yeah, I think those are some of the things that we are facing as the youth.
Yeah, you had me there at taxes. I agree with you totally. The taxes that we have to pay in today are a bit discouraging. But I understand that there's a startup bill in Parliament, and the bill is supposed to be signed into law on August 2024. And I haven't gotten a chance to look at it completely, but I understand that some of the provisions are that the youth will have a leniency when it comes to establishing their businesses. It kind of wants to promote startups among the youth. So I think that is something that is currently being handled. And again, even when we talk about the barriers, I understand because I sometimes look at the youth, especially in Kenya, and I feel like we as the youth, we have a lot of energy, we have a lot of ideas, we have a lot of criticism. If you go on Twitter every day, you find that it's majorly the youth that are calling out, public officials. They're, starting a hashtag trending, talking, condemning somebody who's probably or who's alleged to have taken part in bad dealings, especially political figures. So yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot to be done. But also feel like there's a way we need to channel the energy that the youth have, because you find people being active, people talking
Yeah.
about trending matters at times, and it's encouraging. But when we come to things like elections, for instance, last year IEBC was complaining that a low number of youths are actually registered to vote, and there was even a lower turnout during the elections among the youth. So I feel like maybe CSOs and NGOs and the youth ourselves can find a way in which we can channel all that energy to promoting social change, because people have a lot to say. People
Yeah.
really look at the news. We might not look at newspapers like the old like at
Yeah,
how
true.
newspapers were really
Mm.
yeah, during the
Yeah,
old
that is
ages. But
yeah.
with the recent developments and availability of technology, I feel like people are more informed more via their own sources or through social media channels. Yeah, so
I think you have frozen.
Winnie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You got lost for a minute. Yes, but I think you are you yes, you are frozen for a moment. Yeah, I think you're back now.
Okay, thank you. My apologies for that. So I was talking about how we need to channel that energy that the youth have into driving for social change. And my next question now will be that, people say that democracy thrives when, diverse perspectives are actually put on the table. Okay, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm really sorry. I had to switch to data, so I hope that doesn't happen again. So we're talking about channeling, the energy that the youth have and how they express themselves. Now, how and that people say that democracy really thrives when different perspectives are put on the table, and that the aspirations of the youth are actually taken into account, and people now start to integrate these opinions, diverse opinions, when coming up with public policies. So how if can we do that effectively, given that the youth will express themselves a lot on platforms such as Twitter, but when it comes to the work, that need they in which their perspectives are actually really needed, they don't really turn up. So how can we channel that? And what are the advantages that we can get when we now bring the aspirations of the youth on the table?
Uh, Number one, let us not despise platforms such as Twitter, in as much as they sort of just look as social media platforms. They do play a very huge role in ensuring that the voice of the youth is heard. There are ti- there are very many cases that we have seen people give feedback on a Twitter page or on a Facebook page, and that issue is taken seriously, especially when we use these spaces to drive to drive numbers. Then they actually do help make changes. So number one, let's not despise those platforms. Let's continue using them, and also because also a platform like the one that we are currently using, it's a very important platform because the people who are listening us, they also get ideas from a platform like this. But also, we also need to uh, familiarize ourselves with the government platforms or the platforms or with the platforms in our communities where the youth can participate. Now, the Constitution does provide that public participation is a right. And I think the major issue with our country is that, in as much as it's provided for as a right, we are never made aware of when these forums are ongoing. And I think it's time that we put pressure on government officials or government bodies to use the digital platforms to get public participation, because in as much as a forum may be taking place maybe in KICC, and because you're attending to other matters, or maybe you don't even have the transport to take you there as a young person from Garissa, but you're able to buy data worth 50 bob and log in for like 20 minutes and participate and put in your and put in your views. I think it is high time that we advocated for these forums to be used positively. And especially given that currently we have so many digital forums and digital platforms, and also so many, what do I call them, like apps or softwares that we can use. For example, like polls. If it's in a forum and you send polls to people and people can vote on what they prefer. That's one way of ensuring that the youth have participated. So I think it's time that now we put pressure, because we have to embrace the fact that we have gone digital, and it's time that we maximized on its uh, and it's time that we maximized on its potential. So let us put pressure on the government bodies and officials to use these platforms to to get views and feedback from the youth generally. Back to you, Salome.
Thank you, thank you. I actually really agree with you. It's time we now took these kind of platforms to the digital forums, so that I'm sure people will speak up and they will speak out against it. Yeah, but there's also a challenge when it comes to getting people to participate in such forums, because the truth is, as much as we have much energy, not a majority of the youth basically use social media for their own creative and entertainment use, which is okay, but getting people to be interested in political matters, it's not an easy task. It's something we struggle with here at Speak Up, but
Mm-hmm.
day by day, we make progress, and wind up and close the forum is how does investing in youth empowerment benefit the government in the long run? Why should they divest their attention to the youth right now, and how can they really benefit from that?
How can they invest and how can they benefit?
Yeah.
Well, create forums. For example, we have very many young people who are involved in agriculture. So create forums where the young people who are involved in agriculture, where they are able to participate, where they are taught better ways of farming, or more efficient ways of farming, or where they are taught how to, save a shilling here or there. Create such forums so that they are able to benefit. Because if I am able to be more efficient in my farm, and I have more produce, then that and I am able to sell it in the market, then that means that I am helping the country growing economically. I think also, uh, like we said, taxes, and the fact that there is a bill on the youth tax, that's a good thing. But before we get there is a period where the youth are going to suffer, because it's not yet a law, it's not yet law. So what do we do within that period? You see? So I think within this period there should be, and then Kenya, like a law comes in, and it may probably still not it still doesn't adequately cover the issues of the young people. So it's taken to court, and it takes another 2 years before the court matter is finalized. So what happens within this period? We need to be able to cushion the youth within this period, because it doesn't mean that they'll have to stay at home within that period as we await a decision to be made, or a bill to be turned into law. So let us take some of those issues into perspective. Yeah.
Okay, so I hear you. So I think that marks the end of the forum. Do you have any closing remarks that you'd like to make?
Thank you so much for the forum. I think this is a very good forum to advocate for the youth and the issues that they go through, and also to make them aware. And I think one of the ways in which we can all generally also, because the youth love anything artistic, I think we could also use artistic means to bring the youth on board, and especially in such forums, because when they hear anything artistic, because most of us are geared to artistic stuff, that would be a good way to engage the youth and ensure that they participate. But I really hope that we will get to that point where every young person feels involved, and where we all feel that our interests are well taken care of. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Winnie, as well. Thank you for volunteering to take part in this forum, for sparing some time to share your insights. We really, really appreciate you, and we are thankful for your presence. So, to our viewers out there, please make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms. We are Speak Up Africa with a K. So we're all over. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're there. So kindly follow us, share with us your insights. Do not be afraid to comment, or also volunteer to take part in such forums as this. We really, really look forward to having more active engagement amongst you as the youth. So thank you again, once again, Winnie, and yeah, have a lovely afternoon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.